What's going on, everybody? So in this video, we are going to be covering the hottest news in the NFT markets. Now, before we go ahead and get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And let's go ahead and dive right in. So going right into it, Ethereum right now is at that 1.6 range. Pretty crazy that Ethereum is pumping even during this time. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of different factors when it comes to the S&P 500 and things like that. But overall, in the NFT market, at least, which is, its own little bubble in a sense, that is affected by many other things. Projects are minting out, right? Projects are definitely selling and doing millions in mint revenue. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the projects that have the hottest news. First project that we're going to talk about is going to be KPR, right? So at the time of this recording, KPR literally just minted was a 0.2 mint, and each person on the whitelist and stuff like that were able to mint 2 of them, right? So right now, floor price is going to be 0.587. Well, the floor price is essentially 3 times higher than mint. So obviously, when people see this on OpenSea, everyone's going to mint it right away because they're thinking, oh, it's free money, right? Because if you mint it and you sell it right away, then you 3x your money. I think KPR did a really good job when it comes to their website. The website was really clean, really impressive actually from a technical perspective, all the transitions and things like that. I would say, they can probably do a lot more opportunity for growth on the community side, but I'm personally guessing that because Ethereum is at 1.6 and they're charging 0.2 for a mint, they want to take advantage of that situation and, maximize the revenue, which is fair for a company, right? Because the goal is to raise as much money as possible in order to do the best things. So next thing I want to talk about is going to be art gobblers. So there was a lot of news about it on Twitter where a lot of people were basically fudding a lot of the influencers who got whitelist, people like K Money and other people, they were able to sell their NFTs when they got whitelist, which was free, for 15 ETH. And a lot of people were, saying negative things. I think it's a little over the top, honestly. But, without getting too deep into the drama of that, the floor price right now is 18.5 ETH, right? I mean, this is pretty crazy, right? The volume is almost 10,000. It's only been like a day or two. Floor price is crazy. Might be wondering, like, who is buying these art gobblers, right? And you look at this art, right? Is this necessarily like the most amazing art in the world? It's debatable. It's interesting for sure. Not personally my taste, but I'm sure a lot of people like it. My personal guess, and from talking to different people, this art gobblers really tackles or appeals to the DeFi crowd, right? Because if you think about it, Paradigm is one of the main investors who has done a lot of projects outside of NFTs, like crypto stuff, and now they're moving into NFTs, and they're taking some of the same strategies that they had before, and they're applying it here, right? Looking on a thread by Min X Dynasty, someone I just met up in LA not too long ago, a very nice guy. The main mechanics of why I think people are buying it is because of the goo, right? If you have a gobbler, then you're going to produce goo. If you have a legendary gobbler, you're going to produce 2 times goo. And then from there, what do you use your goo for? You spend it on Blake pages, and then you draw some stuff, and then you feed it to the gobblers, and it produces more goo. So it's like this, and I think it's like the more gobblers that you hold in one wallet, the higher the multiplier you get, so the more goo you create. So it's like this cycle of like, get an NFT, create goo to create more NFTs, to create more goo, and to create more NFTs. So it's like this cycle that keeps going. How sustainable is it? I don't know, right? Because like for a lot of DeFi projects, they all kind of went to zero. Not all of them, but like, I'm not saying this will fail. I'm just saying that you can kind of see that dangerous cycle of, money just circling around. It just goes up and up and up. It reminds me of a similar concept where people just kept reinvesting their tokens and stuff back into the thing, and the APY went crazy until, eventually somebody sold it, and then everybody sold it, and then now it's not worth as much as it was at the top. So just be mindful of that. And it's definitely like a whale game at this point, because like most people are priced out at 18 Ethereum. I mean, 18 ETH right now is going to be like almost 30K. So, if you're a VC and you have like millions of funding, yeah, it makes sense that you buy this and you want to be closer to Paradigm. Or if you're just a crypto whale that has been very successful, maybe you want to get into this as well because you find it interesting, you want to play this game with other people. And I think those are the stories and things that people don't necessarily see when it comes to these kind of projects. There's always more to it. It's not a random thing that, something gets to 18 floor ETH. There has to be a reason, right? So you always got to look behind the scenes to see what's really going down. And by the way, if you want more insights and you want to get more in-depth information of what's going on in the space, make sure to check out the Parallax Genesis, where, every 2 weeks we do a real in-depth live course on how the NFT space works, how to build a project. So if you're a project builder, or you're just someone who's a collector and wants to learn more and get more connected with like-minded people, make sure to check out the Parallax Genesis. Link is in the description for our OpenSea. Now, stepping a little bit away from NFTs real quick, I kind of want to talk about the whole anime meta that's been really blowing up. Walking around the Montebello Mall, which is like this, small, I guess it's not necessarily a small mall, but it's a mall I used to go to as a kid when I was like in elementary school and stuff. And I went to some of my favorite stores back then, which was like Spencer's, Hot Topic, and stuff like that. And then I was pretty surprised that when you go in the store, right on the left side, all these stores have a bunch of anime products like t-shirts, merchandise, plushies. And it was pretty crazy because these are like mainstream malls with like different, all types of ethnicities like visit these malls. Their main product for a lot of the stores in the youth is all anime stuff, which is pretty interesting, right? Because, you know, is this really a fad? I actually don't think it's a fad. I think it's like similar to streetwear. Like if you think about streetwear, it's a culture and like industry that constantly evolves with the time, right? So it like never dies. So anime, I feel like it's getting into that territory, whereas before people saw it as this very niche, weird thing, but now it's like something that's transcending to like all types of mediums, and it's something that I feel like expressive enough where it can keep evolving with the times and probably may never die, right? And that's something to keep in mind for like, because we're seeing a lot of anime projects or like projects where they're using anime inspired art. These genres of art, it's like they're becoming more and more timeless in a sense, right? And so that's something to pay attention to, because when you look at these projects, you know, you don't want to just think like, oh, it's another anime project, because like what anime is and how people are accepting it into the market is evolving so much. We even see like The Simpsons, for example, they have this episode where they're going to use like the themes from Death Note, and it's like, and that's so crazy that The Simpsons would implement anime into their show in order to get more viewers. Sonic the Hedgehog recently is coming out with a game that I've been following for a bit called Sonic Frontiers. It's not an NFT game, but the interesting part is like they released an anime with Knuckles, if you know familiar with Sonic, as like one of the teasers or one of the pieces of marketing before the release of the game. So like even if you look at Cyberpunk, for example, they released an anime as well, and then after they released the anime, the amount of players that were playing their game 10x. And think about how much money you're making from like in-app purchases and people buying the game just from an anime, right? We're seeing more and more like this power of anime is like this ball momentum that's just not stopping. So when I look at projects like Azuki, obviously, and also Clone X, if you listen to the interviews with Clone X, they are heavily inspired by anime, and they even traveled to Japan to like get inspiration for their project as they were creating it. So, and even if we look at, let's say, like some of the biggest like Web3 gaming projects, Digi Daigaku, you know, it started as a waifu anime project, and then now it's evolving to so much more where they have like male characters, and it's probably going to be a really big mobile game because they have so much money to build the game. They have so much money to acquire users to actually play the game on Web 2, right? You know, there's always different styles. Like there's like art gobblers, there's cool cats, and there's different things you can look at. Those are great too, right? I'm not saying they are not good. I'm just saying that this category of anime is continuing to grow, and you got to go where the puck is moving, right? Now, moving into Web3 gaming, GameStop recently created their own marketplace, and they are using Immutable X. Now, Immutable X is actually getting pretty popular, right? So we've seen Gary Vee use Immutable X for his, you know, VFriend tokens. VV, for example, I think they did like $100 million in past year in digital collectibles, and they're on Immutable X. So if you go on the marketplace, nft.gamestop.com, it's pretty basic for the most part, right? But it is what you expect it to be. The games are pretty cheap in general. These ones are like 150, so different prices. These are actually not bad. Because it's on Immutable X, the fees and everything, the gas fees and stuff, and it's going to be cheap, it's going to be fast. If GameStop is doing this, every gaming company is going to do their own marketplace, because like, why would you give the fees to OpenSea, right? So that's definitely a trend that you should definitely pay attention to, because one of these marketplaces is really going to make it. And if you position yourself in the right way, or if you kind of get the right assets that have the most traffic, that definitely can be an opportunity. And if you want to keep up with what's going on in the NFT space, remember, check out the Parallax Genesis. Link is in the description, where we're going to be talking all about that stuff all day, every day. Now, next thing we're going to talk about is going to be A16Z, one of the largest VC firms in the game. And so they recently announced this thing called the Crypto Startup School. It kind of feels like Y Combinator, where you apply, you get in, they teach you some stuff about how to build a startup, and then they're going to give you $500,000 every company that participates in exchange for 7% equity for your company, right? And so I think a lot of good companies will probably come from this, right? We're probably going to get the smartest people. They're going to be like, I want to work with A16Z to build a big company. They're going to give me $500,000 so I can just like focus on building. You want to pay attention to this, because let's say like you have some smart founders that team up together and they apply for this and they get into the Crypto Startup School by A16Z. If they one day launch an NFT project, you got to keep in mind like, okay, they already have money. They probably raised a lot more money if they like are coming out this like incubator in a sense. And then when they launch an NFT project, could it be that all the other VCs support that project and they buy the floor? Could it be that VCs have to buy the floor in order to invest in their company? Could it be that these guys have connections with whales that would just buy their project because they like the founder, right? So those are all things you have to consider, especially like when we see art gobblers, which is, you know, connected to Paradigm, which is also one of the largest crypto VCs in the world. The connections and the money flow and everything like that, a lot of money is moving into this thing. And maybe the average, you know, NFT degen may not understand like, you know, why is this thing 16 ETH, 18 ETH or whatever, right? There's always more to the story. And so that's why you got to pay attention to like these big VC funds like starting these companies, because this is literally a startup if you think about it, right? It's a experimental startup. They're creating their first like art utility, or I wouldn't call it even utility, but they're a project where they combine NFT with DeFi. Very interesting indeed. You know, if you position yourself in the right way, you have more of an opportunity to succeed, right? And I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm not telling you to sell anything. I'm just saying that you gotta understand the information flow and how the money moves. And so with that said, that is everything we have to cover in this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and let me know in the comments what projects you want me to cover next, and I'll consider it for the next video.